بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. Okay, who has something to share with me or a question? So we ask people to read ahead and to come up with questions, observations, problems, something that sounds disturbing, doesn't make sense. So it's very important to understand that we would have a cultural shock if we went back 500 years ago. We would have a cultural shock if we went to the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's an important thing to be cognizant of. Like, oh, I might be a practicing religious Muslim, but I have a cultural shock, right? Many people when they go to the East, they have a culture shock, right? Like, this is really different. So anybody? Awkward silence. Salah, did you bring the tumbleweed, or is that with us? That's for next week.
No, I unfortunately didn't read ahead. I missed the last class. I haven't caught up yet, so I didn't know we were
Okay.
reading ahead. That's my fault.
Okay. So your job is find out how to get fake tumbleweed on Amazon. Okay, for next week,
Inshallah.
inshallah. Okay. Anybody else? Yusuf?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is more of a observation in the chapter on Syria. He has a
Okay.
section.
Let me just get to there first. So Egypt. So this is in the actual book or in this thing?
I have the physical book, so I'm
Okay, great. Yeah. Let me just pick it up. Yeah. So which page you on?
let me pull it up exactly. It's page 39 in the actual book.
Okay. Inshallah, if you have the same print as me. And it says the pious endowments of Damascus, some of the merits, that one?
Yeah, that's
Anecdote?
right.
Yeah, okay. So guys, we're on page 39 of this is this is the Picador print, right? Which is 20. There's two prints out there, and I think they're slightly different. So this is Picador. I don't see I don't see the when this was printed. This is maybe 2001, I'm not sure. But anyway, okay, yeah. So I'm on page 39. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was just interesting hearing him describe how the endowments in Damascus work. And he said that they
Mhm.
have endowments for different topics, subjects, and he said that they race to provide endowments, and then he provides like a story of a slave or a servant that broke something, and the people told him like go to the endowment, they'll give you the money so that when you go to your slave master, he's not upset at you breaking it.
Okay. What else was here? Like, can you read that? Just say the pious endowments at Damascus and some of the merits and customs of its inhabitants. Can you read that for us?
Yeah. So that section starts, the varieties of the endowments at Damascus and their expenditure are beyond computation. So numerous are they.
Right. So if you can
There,
imagine the situation, right? Like you turn up at Yusuf, which university did you go to?
I was in Durham at Duke University.
Okay, you're a Duke. Okay. So when you turned up, it was just full scholarship, right? They just paid for everything.
Not exactly.
Not exactly, right? But that's the idea of an endowment, right? The endowment is like, oh, Yusuf, you're promising a football player at 14. They're like, okay, he's got promise. Let's sponsor him. We're gonna send him to training, and he's gonna come to Duke University, and we're gonna then also send him to Japan to do an internship. We will pay for him, right? And we'll bring him back, and that's the whole idea that it's all set up for you, right? It's all set up for you, right? You get in Turkey right now, right? Seeker's Guidance. If you've seen this thing in Seeker's Guidance, what they're working with, you keep saying things like, what is it? Iswet and vakfi, right? If you see on some of the advertisements, they say vakfi. Vakfi is waqf, right? Endowments. So there's these like huge buildings that were built as endowments. They are the property of universities. So you go there and you don't have to pay any rent. And in fact, they might have, like my uncle, he used to manage the properties of Oxford University. So what are we going to sell? What are we going to build? What are we going to do this? What are we going to do that? How are we going to maximize these kind of things? And so they have all this money. And so anybody with promise, they just give you the money, right? And so go ahead. It says.
Says there are endowments in aid of persons who cannot undertake the pilgrimage.
So you want to go
Uh,
on anybody here want to go anybody here wants to go on Hajj but can't afford to go on Hajj? Anybody? Mustafa? Muhammad Hashir? Abdullah? Nobody? You guys are all loaded?
Yes,
Would
yes,
love to.
I want to.
Yeah,
I
love
will
to, right?
love
Do you
to.
have the cash? Do you have the cash to go on Hajj?
No,
No,
not yet.
No. Right? So imagine, for example, it's like, oh, just fill out the form over there. Like, oh, really? So that's what it was. You go in Damascus and like, oh, people who want to go on Hajj and can't go on a Hajj. Fill out this form. Oh, I'll have the money for you tomorrow morning. Fantastic. Okay, go ahead.
uh, out of which are paid to those who go in their stead, some
In their
sufficient for their
stead.
in their stead, some
Yeah.
sufficient for their needs.
Hmm.
There are endowments for supplying wedding outfits to girls, to those
Isn't that
namely.
cool? Right? Salah wants to get married. He's like, oh, great. So it's like, yeah, sign me up. So I'm joking with Salah every week. You're gonna get married on Friday. So he's like, oh, hang on a minute. I need to fill out the form. Like, which form? Oh, you know the wedding form? Like, what's that? Oh, you're like, I go to the masjid and they basically hire this huge hall and they feed like 50,000 people. And they also, if you fill out the other form, they will ship. They will do Amazon. What's it called? If you've got Amazon Prime, they'll ship your fiance from Palestine for you, right? Oh, this is great. So like nobody needs to pay. This is how it was. I think it still is, or it was in Kuwait, right? In Kuwait, like if you want to get married, they give you a salary and they help you out with like furnishing your house. So like every young man can get married, right? So look, it's like, oh, but it's going to be expensive for the girls to get married. They have to have all these wedding clothes, which are really expensive. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Here we go. Bismillah, right? Go ahead.
There are endowments for the freeing of prisoners and endowments for travelers, out of which they are given food, clothing, and the expenses of conveyance to their countries.
Is that what happened? Is that what happens today? You travel to Syria, and everyone's like, "Oh, great, go in the hotel, this," and it's like for free. That doesn't happen, right? You turn up in Malaysia, that doesn't happen. You turn up in Turkey, that doesn't happen. But this is what it used to be like. There's people who have money and they give charity, and there's people who have money who do endowments. You got $20 million. Okay, here, let's invest it. We will build. Um, here's here's a farm. Here's a hostel. Here's a masjid. Here's or whatever it is. This thing is paying for itself, right? So the idea that every Ramadan donate for the masjid, that is a lame idea. It's not a sustainable system. It's supposed to be through endowments. You have one person or five people, let's say five people in Silicon Valley could run like half of these masjids. You know what I'm saying? Like we know how much money you made. So it's like what you need to do is put that money in a clever way. It's an endowment. You've bought places and it just runs things, right? So this is the world that we live in, right? Go ahead.
There are endowments for the improvement and paving of the streets because the lanes in Damascus all have a pavement on either side on which the foot passengers walk while riders use the roadway in between.
So we have that in California. I don't know if you have that in the rest of America, right? Where you have, for example, somebody has what's it called? Like adopted a road. So like they pay for that road. Like I'm going to pay for the upkeep of this road, right? So that exists, and we've seen that. Besides these, there are endowments for other charitable causes, right? And so notice things like sometimes it's not just like feeding the poor. It's things like, oh, girls want to dress up, right? You know, kids who inner city kids who need to get out and to see nature. Do we have that? Do you just turn up somewhere like, oh yeah, fill out this form, go ahead? We don't have these things. So we can see we live in this world where everything's collapsed. It's fallen apart on a dunya and worldly level. Whereas for them, on a dunya and a religious level, it's like thriving. You know, things are like, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? What's one of these things coming to Malaysia as a parent, right? Is you come to Malaysia as a parent, it's a Muslim country, like these huge mosques, and then like Eid is huge, and it's like, oh, it's so cool, like you feel relieved like everybody's set up the deen for my kids, like it's fun, there's candy, there's this procession, there's this day off, there's these things, and it's like this is so cool. You just feel on a worldly level, you feel it's easy to be Muslim. That's what it was like. Like, oh, this is so cool. As opposed to today, most places in the world, religious people you're considered strange. It's hard. Deen's hard, you know? It's really hard for kids growing up being religious, you know? It's hard. Whereas, like, you imagine they're living a world like that. It's like the deen outwardly on a worldly level is easy. You know, it's like, yeah, there's this, there's that, there's all these things, right? Does that make sense? So I appreciate that. Really good section, Yusuf. Okay, anybody else?
I can, Bismillah.
Go ahead. Abdullah, you had something?
Like question or like
A
anything
question
else?
or something you wanted to share? Anything?
I think I just wanted to quickly just learn about the initial part that you were saying. I think I joined as by when you mentioned my name, so I couldn't like hear exactly what you wanted to ask me. Something about a form or something.
We were talking about going on Hajj and that how they had, you know, imagine for example you go to a masjid, right? Abdullah, you in Canada right now?
No, I'm in Pakistan
You're in
right now.
Pakistan, right? So if you go in Pakistan, if you turn up a local masjid, can you just fill out a form and they send you on Hajj?
No, not really.
The opposite, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not going to go on Hajj, right? You're on
Yeah.
this list of 1 million people and you can't afford it. That's the normal Pakistani. Like, you're never going to afford that. It's too expensive, A. And B, you're on the list of 50,000 people. So the only people who go on Hajj are like the privileged, right? Basically. Here is the opposite. Oh, I can't go on Hajj. Sure. Fill out this form. Go on Hajj. Oh, I can't afford to get married, right? That's the whole of Pakistan. The whole of Pakistan cannot afford to get married. Nobody can do it. Fill out this form. Oh, what do you need? How many people? Oh, we have this family. They're coming from Lahore and this family. Okay, sure. We'll send the tickets. Sure. What kind of clothes do they need? Okay, here's. Oh, it's gonna actually cost like it's too expensive, right? It's expensive to have a wedding. So like, oh, here's somebody who's like, yeah, I think people should get married, right? Young men who want to get married, fill out this form. Da, 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 da. I'll give you all of this money. Bismillah, sign me up. You know, it's fantastic. As opposed to now, it's like it's just an impossible thing, right? Right? It's hard, right? For Salah, right? Financially, Salah Salman, right? If you were to get married next week, that's a financial impossibility, right? You might do Ketub al-Kitab.
Uh,
Okay, go ahead. Explain your situation.
I mean, Allah, I mean, it depends on the terms of the marriage.
But let's say, for example, a proper Palestinian wedding. It's not
Oh
possible,
yeah, never, never.
right? That's not possible. And if you turn up in Jordan, they're like, bro, I mean, when's the actual zifaf? You're like, oh yeah, we did Ketub al-Kitab, but like, you know, inshallah, Allah yarzuq, you know, inshallah, Allah will help me out. Like in everybody's mind, this is an impossibly difficult thing to do. It's really expensive, right? Sometimes stupidly expensive, but otherwise it's like, okay, I just want to feed people. I just want to do this and this and this. Oh, the hall's going to cost this. The food's going to cost this. That's going to cost that. Oh, we can't do it. So, you know, we just have to wait, you know? We'll just wait. We'll just wait each way. And like nobody can get married. And then, you know, what's it called? Afsh, you know, putting the furniture together in the house, all these things, getting a good job, right? You know, so Salah, I'm sure you have cousins in Jordan, like they've gone through college, they have the potential for work, but there's no work. Like you can't get a job. You're just like stuck. Yeah, in Pakistan, same thing. You have a degree, but you're just stuck. You don't have an uncle in this position. You don't have an aunt in that position. You just can't get a job. You are now on $100 a month. It's like, what is this? What am I supposed to do? You know? Like this, like the average youth have no place, as opposed to here we have these endowments. Oh, you want to get married, you want to do this, you want to do that, go ahead. You want to go to college, sure, right? College is free, right? Okay, Jazakallah khair, Salah. Okay, anybody else have anything?
I like to say something.
Okay, go ahead, Salahuddin. Yep.
Okay, so perhaps to share the perspective from we were in Europe, Hmm. and for example, here I live in Spain, and you know, maybe some people have heard here before. That's why my name is Al Andalusi, because it was Al
Yes.
Andalus, you know.
Yes.
And so college for me is free here. Well, quote
Hmm.
unquote free. We all pay tuition. I mean, not tuition, we pay taxes. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But in my case, I have you know, like small disability. And
Okay.
so because of that, I don't have to pay tuition at all.
Right.
But uh, as for finding a job easily, that is not completely accurate. I mean,
Right.
that is something that I keep seeing online. People thinking that this is some kind of um, paradise,
Right.
and it's. I mean, it's not. I mean, I've been looking for a job, and I can't find a job. I mean, it's not because of my disability. It's. I mean, it's totally unrelated to
Yeah.
it. There are thousands of people on, with degrees and all of that. I have a degree. It just got recently recognized equivalent in Spain. I have also master's degree studies, and I haven't finished them, but I only have missing my dissertation. But
Right.
I speak English. I can
Yeah.
speak French to a decent level, and I don't have a job. I'm
Yeah.
looking for it. I want to get married, and I mean, you talk to a woman, yeah, what are you doing? Well, I'm have this project, I have this plan. So, in other words, you don't have a job, so
Right.
she ghosts you,
Yeah.
and so that's what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, so if you can imagine, you can let's even imagine this as a non-Muslim. Imagine like you're in England, you're like as a non-Muslim, like, oh, I heard if you just become a Muslim, you become a Muslim, you can just go over to Syria and they say, hi, I'm a convert, give me a salary. And they're like, okay. And so then it'd be like, yeah, of course. So that's what it was like. We have to understand that, just like the East looks to the West, like, oh, it's so amazing. The streets are made out of gold and everything's perfect. And look, in Spain they have free education, and oh, it's so amazing. It's like that's how the non-Muslims looked to the East. That's how the non-Muslims looked to the Muslim world. It was like, oh, you guys are civilized, and you have everything. You have nice streets, and you have nice this and nice that, right? Like I studied medieval England. It's a horrible place. Like medieval England's insane. Like it was like a really, really bad place to be in. And so it's like a very different kind of place, right? So this is like what I'm trying to say from a worldly point of view, it's easy. It's easy to be Muslim. It's easy to live in the Muslim world. Right now, it's very difficult and very hard, right? The Muslim world is a place of no opportunity, right? Etc. Go ahead, Salahuddin.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that it's not only the financial stuff. I mean, eventually, I have had jobs here, and I think that inshallah, eventually I will get something. But that's not the only problem. I mean, we have here the immorality is rampant, and
Yes.
if you want to get yourself, because you have to start by yourself. That's why I try to attend these classes and all of that, because if you don't improve yourself, you cannot hope to
Yes. Yeah.
combat what's going on. But here's the thing. Today, I saw the new. I was reading the newspaper. Congress here just passed a law. I'm not making this up. You can look online about it, and it is now illegal and punishable with prison to have someone pass through conversion therapy. Okay, so conversion therapy, I agree, it's really controversial. It may not be the right way to do things. However, who gets to label that? And so we have a lot of LGBTQ plus nonsense movement here in Spain. And so the problem is that the way things work here is that I see this happening in I mean, less than a year probably, or in two. Someone will accuse someone else of use or trying to pressure someone to leave behind his sexual identity, blah, blah, blah. And probably will be some parent or some concerned teacher saying, that is not what God, um,
Hmm.
would like for you. I mean, abortion is legal too. I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many awful things going on.
Yeah,
If I could, I would just leave for a different place. But the problem is what you are mentioning. I've spoken
exactly.
online to Muslims from countries like those who have been mentioned here, like Syria, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Jordan, Egypt, etc. And the problem is that there is neither a place that is financially viable nor a place that is Islamically viable. I mean, if
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't really care about the money. As long as I can simply get a job and live and
Yeah.
live by,
And be
that's
in a good
fine.
environment. Yeah.
But you don't even have that, and where you have that, the someone was telling me the other day that women wearing hijab that it was a symbol of poverty. I don't know if that's true or not. The guy
Yeah,
was
yeah.
from
In many places, yeah.
The guy was from Lebanon. I had no idea if that's
Yeah,
true
yeah.
or not, but
Yeah,
I was
it means
stunned.
she's backward. It's like in where in Spain would a woman wear hijab? Like this, like that's really old. That's like wearing like she's dressed in black and whatever. That's very weird, strange Spanish culture. That's not a thing that you would see anymore. Or in Greece they used to do that. That's like really weird. Like would it look like an old Russian woman? With a funny hijab on. Looks funny, right? It's like that. Salahuddin, we have to crack on, inshallah. So here we're still in the Horn of Africa. And Muhammad Hasha, what was this name called again? This place, Makdashu?
Is Mogadishu is the current capital city of Somalia.
Okay,
Mogadishu.
Mogadishu, right? So it says
Yeah.
here they are very corpulent and they are enormous eaters, each of them one eating as much as a congregation ought to do. So they have a lot of rizq, right? Somalia, lots of rizq, right? It says, the Sultan sent for me and each of my companions a dress. I don't know what this word, lifter? I don't know what this word here is. Their custom is giving a salute is the same as among the kings of Yemen. I remained some days the king's guest and then sent out for the country of Zenuj or Zenj. So notice here he called them the Black Africans. Okay, so again, we spoke about this last week that if you ask me, for example, I'm English and you say, is Salah ad-Din, who's Spanish, is he white? I say no, right? An Arab, I don't know, would say, oh, Spanish people, yeah, they're white. Whereas in England, we don't consider Spanish people white because of history, right? We don't consider them to be white. But white and black, these are all relative, right? So for an Arab, Arabs are white for an Arab, right? Let's just say these people are white. So we say, for example, the Prophet ﷺ was white, meaning he was not African, like black African or something like that. He wasn't dark skinned, right? And even, so when you say dark, like how dark, right? Many of these things are very relative. So he's talking about is you go down further to the south and it's much darker, right? Yeah. So in the English culture, Catholic means not white, right? It's not even to do with genes. It's the fact that you're Catholic means you're not white, right? That's because of history and the wars and all these kind of things that happened in the past. I then went on board a vessel and sailed to the island of Mombasa, which is large, abounding with banana, lemon, and citron. They also have fruit which they call the jamun, jambu, etc., etc., etc. The people are generally religious, chaste, honest, and the land of they are Shafi'iyah. So he is where again? He is in Mombasa, and they are Shafi'i. So notice we say these people, you travel the Muslim world in his time from Malaysia, Malacca, all the way to Spain. Everybody's following one of the form of madhahib. That's how it is. Nobody is just saying, oh, I'm just Muslim. Nobody's going to say that. Because everybody is, oh, I'm Shafi, oh, I'm Maliki, I'm this or I'm that. That's just how everybody is. After lodging there one night, I set out by sea for the city of Kulwa, I pronounce this, which is large and consists of wooden houses. The greater part of the inhabitants are the Zunuj, and they are religious and peaceful habits. The king of this place is called Al-Muzaffir Hassan, a person who obtained great victories over the countries of the infidel Zunuj. So these are Muslim, African, proper African, and non-Muslim. He gave much in alms. He's a very generous person. Then I proceeded. Exactly. So that is now normal. right? Salahuddin. Now you bump into somebody in Pakistan, in Saudi, in Morocco, and you say, which madhab do you follow? They're like, no, I'm just Muslim. But this is a new phenomenon, right? It's an indicative of just lack of education. It's like saying, which university from? Oh, no, I just have a generic degree. Yeah, but which university gave you your generic degree? ChatGPT. Imagine if ChatGPT can distribute degrees. It's like that, right? It means you're uneducated. That's what it means. You're just not educated. You've never done fiqh because there's no such thing as fiqh outside of a system. A systemless fiqh doesn't exist, right? The greatest gift bestowed on the people of these countries is ivory, which is the elephant's tooth, etc. They sell and give gold. So then I proceeded to the city of Zafar by sea. This is the farthest city from Yemen and it's situated in the Indian Sea. This is a place that carries horses to India. And when the wind is fair, they pass from it to the Indian shores within a full month. So I don't know where exactly from Mombasa, where exactly they're going to land in India, but that takes a month. Between Zafar and Aden by land is the distance of a month. And between it and Hadramaut, that of 16 days. Between it and Amman is 20 days. So I don't know which, I think this is Oman, not Amman, right? Oman, not Amman. Amman is going to be obviously in Jordan. This city of Zafar stands alone in a large plain in which there is no, etc., etc. Their diseases are generally the elephantitis and hernia. The greater wonder among them is that they injure no one unless he has previously injured them. Many kings have attempted their country but have been forced to return with the effects of their devices upon their own necks. At the distance of half a day from this place is the city of Al-Ahqaf, the residence of the people of Ad. In this city there are many gardens in which there is a large sweet fruit of the banana, the seed of one of it weighs 10 ounces, etc., etc., etc. So here, the people of India, so you have to understand that whole Horn of Africa, Yemen, India is all connected. The people of India esteem it very highly, for whenever anyone receives a visit from another, the present made is 5 of these leaves. Okay, and then he goes to something else. And then it mentions these things, talks about what they have there, etc., etc., etc. Right? It's worth noting, he's talking about food here. We actually have cookbooks, by the way. Like there's lots of information of the past. You can get like cookbooks of this time. What did people used to cook at this time? And they have a whole book on, these kind of different things. So there's lots of information that we can talk about. We don't need to go for all of these things. Leaving Zafar, I proceeded seawards towards Oman. I don't believe this is Amman, right? On the second day, put into the port of Hasik, where many Arab fishermen reside. We have here the incense tree, etc. It goes there. So now he's in Oman. After 2 days, I arrived at the island of Tyre, in which there is no house. It abounds with such birds as the sparrow. After this, Okay. He says, this, however, they kept secret because they are subject to the king of Hormuz, who is a Sunni. Okay. I then set out for the country of Oman after 6 days' journey through the desert, right? So he's going east to Oman from Yemen. Arrived there on the 7th. It abounds with trees, rivers, gardens with palms and various fruits. So this is why he's in Oman. These are Ibadiyya. So to date, right, Oman is kind of like Salafi or Ibadi, right? One of the two. They fall into the opinions of Ibn Muljam, etc. So the Abadi sect, these are kind of like neo-Khawarij, and they have their own kind of hadith book. This kind of, it's called, I can't remember what it's called now, something as-Sahiha or something like that. They have their own hadith book. The Sultan of Oman is an Arab of the tribe of Ezd. This is a very famous tribe of the Arabs, etc. The inhabitants eat the flesh of the domestic ass, which is sold in the streets, which they say is lawful. So this is against Sunni Islam, right? For Sunnis, you can't eat donkey meat, right? You cannot eat donkey meat. So I'm not sure in the Maliki school, is it offensive or is it haram? Because in the Maliki school, there's lots of things that are merely offensive and not actually haram. But anyway, they say it's lawful. But the majority opinion of Sunni Muslims is that you cannot eat donkey meat. You can eat wild donkey meat, which is not feral donkey, but wild donkey is something else. I then went on to the city of Sanub, which is large, belongs to the governor of Castamunia, Suleiman. Don't know something here. I remained here for some time. Leaving this place, I proceeded by sea to Krim or Kirarn, but suffered considerable distress on the voyage and was very near being I drowned. Yeah, so Padshah, I think something like that, right? So it says Badshah. Padishah is we have the word Pasha that comes from, but Padshah, Pasha is where it comes from, right? So maybe something like that. Allahu A'lam. This desert is green and productive. It has, however, neither tree, mountain, hill, nor wood in it. The inhabitants burn dung. They travel over this desert on a cart, which they call Araba, right? That means in Egypt, Araba means a car. The journey is about 6 months. The extent of 3 of which belongs to the Sultan Muhammad Uzbek Khan. That of 3 more to the infidels, non-Muslims. I hired one of these carts, etc. And he comes to the port of Kirash, the city of Al-Kafa, which belongs to Muhammad Uzbek. So now he's under the Turkic areas, right? So the greater part of the inhabitants are Christians living under his protection. So again, what do we find? So yes, everybody follows the former madhahib. Yes, also we find pluralism. Wherever you go, there are also non-Muslims, right? It's a pluralistic society. Living under his protection from this place, I traveled in a city to the city of Al-Kiram, or Kiram, which is one of the large, beautiful cities of districts of Sultan Muhammad Uzbek Khan. From this I proceeded to As-Sarai, they have neither feeders nor keepers, which arises from the severity of the laws against theft, which are, when anyone is convicted of having stolen a beast, he is compelled to return it with 9 others of equal value. But if this is not within his power, his children are taken. If, however, he has no children, he himself slaughtered just like a sheep. So basically, they have an execution. If you steal someone's horse, you get executed, or you have your children taken away from you. So people don't even play with it, right? Is that halal? No, right? So there are certain things you could do that would stop crime, but that doesn't make them halal, right? You know what I'm saying? So there are certain ways you could deter people from doing crime. Not all of those means are halal, right? So what do we find then is, yes, the default is the Sharia is applied, but not everywhere. Here they have their own cultural rules that are above the Sharia. That's haram. You can't do that, right? So, just from a fiqh point of view, if there was a horse that was not stored anywhere, here's a horse. I know this horse belongs to Muhammad Hashid and he's lost it. Okay, and I steal it. You cannot cut my hand off for that, let alone kill me or take my children away, right? So there's fiqh problems there, right? So yes, by default, everybody abides by the Sharia and the Sharia law is enforced, but not everywhere, right? So here he's observing this, that it's not being applied there. You have to fight the haram in a halal way, right? Correct. By default, yeah. So in terms of, but fight the haram in a halal way, meaning someone's trying to kill you, you could kill them, right? That's slightly different. After several days' journey, I arrived at Azak, which is a small town situated on the seashore. So I don't know where he is right now. Somebody can follow with the map. I'm not sure. In it resides an emir on the part of. So we're here. We are in Turkic Iran. That's where we are, right? Basically in Turkic Iran. So Iran being controlled by Turkic tribes. I don't know which different tribes right now or which dynasty, but that's what's happening here. Who treated us with great respect and hospitality. From this place I proceeded to the city of Al-Majar, which is a large and handsome place. The Turkish women of these parts are very highly respected, particularly the wives of the nobles and kings. These women are religious, prone to almsgiving and good works. They go unveiled, however, with their faces quite exposed, right? So this is another thing, right? People make these generalizations. Niqab was never part of Islam. Everybody wore niqab. Women were never seen in the street. Women were always seen in the street. It's not like that. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were women whom you would never see, like the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. There were women who wore niqab. There were women who didn't wear niqab. There were righteous women who didn't wear even hijab because they were female slaves. Okay? And there were people who dressed modestly as non-Muslims, right? So there's a variety. So when people oversimplify the past and they're like, oh, it's shameful for a man ever to see your wife, ever. That's not true. Or it's fine for your wife to hang out with men. That's also not true. Okay, so what is it? It varies from place to place. There are certain paradigms, and it changes from place to place. It's not the same, right? It's not the same. It is not even, you can't even divide it based on madhab, right? The women of Mauritania, for example, they expose their feet. Why? They're in the desert. It's too difficult to wear socks, right? Nobody wears socks. Nobody covers their feet. In the Maliki school, you have to cover your feet as a woman, but they don't do it, you know? So here's like they go unveiled, meaning they're not wearing they're wearing a hijab, but their faces are exposed, right? So the fact that he notices it means that niqab is normal to him, right? The fact that he comments on it is like, oh, I saw her face. That's so strange, right? It's not super common to him, but it's something that he will notice here and there. So to come along and say niqab has no historical place in Islam, that's not true, right? But in reality, it's a spectrum, right? The next set for the camp was the camp of the Sultan, which was then in a place called Bishtag, right? Pish. Do we have any? So Tag? That's definitely mountain in Turkic languages, right? Like Dagestan. Dagestan is the place of the mountains. Tagestan. So it's like a T/D kind of sound. I don't know. Does anyone know how to count in Turkish? Is Santiago, is he here? Santiago know all this stuff. He actually speaks. Where is he? He's not here. He should be here next time. Santiago. He's a Hispanic brother. He speaks. I don't know, one of these Turkic languages anyway. I mean so. Pish or bish means 5. And arrived at a station. So notice, remember we mentioned these words. Stations called a marhala, right? So basically the idea is that everybody's traveling on horses. You have a fixed kind of distance that horses/camels can go, right? To which the Sultan with his retinue had just come before us. At this place, which is termed the Urdu or camp, right? So Urdu, the word Urdu means camp. It is a Turkic word, right? And so where does Urdu come from? Turkic, the Turkic India, meaning the Moguls. The Moguls, meaning these are Turkic people who ruled Turkey. These are Persian-speaking Turkic people who ruled India, right? So that's why you get this word Urdu, which means the army camp, right? So Urdu has a lot of, it's kind of mix. It is essentially Hindi, right? Linguistically, but it has a lot of Arabic, has a lot of Persian, and it will have some Turkic words in it as well. So the word Urdu itself is Turkic, which means camp. We arrived on the 1st of the month of Ramadan. Here we witnessed a moving city with its streets, mosques, and cooking houses, the smoke of which ascended as they moved along. When, however, they halted, it's a moving city. When, however, they halted, all these became stationary. The Sultan Muhammad Uzbek is very powerful, enjoys extensive rule, and is a subduer of the infidels. So what does the infidels mean? He's going to be fighting to the north. To the north, there's going to be Turkic people who are non-Muslim and other people, but mainly Turkic people to the north, and then presumably down to the west, into China, and to the south as well into India. Enjoys extensive rule and is a subduer. That he is one of the 7 kings of the world, which are the Sultan of the West, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, the Sultan of the 2 Iraqs, the Sultan of the Turks Uzbek and the Sultan of Turkestan, and Ma Wara an-Nahar, Transoxia, and the Sultan of China. So I don't know what he means by the Sultan of China, who this is, but these not necessarily. So I don't know what's the Sultan of the what's the Sultan of the West? I don't know what that means. But anyway, you can see at that time Egypt and Syria are one. The two Iraqs, which means oh yes, the two Iraqs, which is Iraq. So what's it called? Uh, like Basra and Kufa, something like that, or Baghdad and some other place, like two major places there. And then then here they call them the Turks or the Uzbeks. This is presumably at this time is the what's it called? Seljuks, right? And then there's other people here that the Turkestan, and then and Ma Wara an-Nahar, that which is beyond the river, Ma Wara an-Nahar, right? Is that which is but that which is it was called Transoxia, right? Truck across the Oxus River into north, going further north into the east in Central Asia, and then India and the Sultan of China. It is the custom with Muhammad Uzbek to sit after the prayer on Friday under an alcove he calls the Golden Alcove, which is much ornamented. He has a throne in the middle of it, overlaid with silver plate, which is gilded and set with jewels. The Sultan sits upon the throne, his four wives, some at his right, others at his left, sitting also on the throne. Beneath the throne, some at his right, others left, sitting also. Before him sits his daughter. Whenever one of his wives enters, he arises, taking her by the hand, puts her into her place upon the throne. Thus they are exposed to the sight of all without so much as a veil. So he's like, oh my God, it's so weird that you can see their wives. So notice then, when you come along and say parda or gender segregation is weird, it's not. He's noticing, he's like, hey, isn't it odd that I can see his wife? Like he's noticing it, right? He's coming from North Africa, and he's saying this is something strange, this is odd. So it is not the norm that women are just there exposed for everybody to see. But did it happen here and there? Yes, it did, right? Is he saying this is haram? He's not saying this is haram, he's saying this is odd, because the normal orf is that it's not the case. The normal standard. Excuse me. Sorry guys, I have a bit of a back issue. I actually have to walk while I'm teaching, so I'm actually on a treadmill right now. So after this come in the great emirs, for whom chairs are placed on the right and left, and they sit, and on these they sit. Before the king stand the princes, who are the sons of his uncle, brothers, and near kinsmen. In front of these, near the door, stand the sons of the great emirs, and behind these, the general officers of the army. People then enter according to their rank, saluting the king, return and take their seats. When, however, the evening prayer is over, the supreme consort, who is queen, so notice he has wives, but then he has a supreme consort, right? Who are right, each with their attendant beautiful slaves. And so again, here you can say beautiful slaves. You can imagine they're not even wearing hijab. So the idea, like, oh my God, might you see a woman without hijab? Yes. May she be Muslim? Yes, because in general, slaves do not wear hijab. The women who are separate on account of any uncleanliness are set up on horses. Before their carriages are cavalry. Behind them, beautiful Mamluk slave soldiers. So these are called the Mamluks. So these are, so what was the system? The system was basically they had certain. This is kind of a Turkic thing. You found it with the Mamluks. Was basically you took prisoners, young prisoners, and you trained them. Right during war, they would take young men as prisoners, and they would train them as a kind of a soldier elite. These are called the Mamluks. Mamluk means owned, slave soldiers. Up to this day, upon this day, I was presented to the Sultan, who received me very graciously. Afterwards, sent me some sheep and a horse with a leather bag of kimiz, which is the milk of a mare, and very much valued among them as a beverage. So they would drink it, and they would also make. There's also an alcoholic beverage they'd make out of the milk of a horse. I think horse milk has more sugar, has more lactose in it than than like cow milk, so you can actually make an alcoholic drink from it. The wives of the king are highly honored. Each one has a mansion for herself, her followers, and servants. When the Sultan wishes to visit one of them, he sends word and preparation is made. One of these wives is a daughter of Tekfur, the emperor of Constantinople. So obviously political things there. So Constantinople has not yet been taken by the Muslims at this time, right? So that's gonna be later on by Muhammad al-Fatih, right? So those of you who watch Ertugrul, right? Ertugrul is going to do his thing. There's going to be followed by Osman, right? And then the Ottomans are going to take over, but they'll take a while to be fighting the Byzantines, and then the final enclave of the Byzantines is Constantinople, Istanbul today, right? So conquering Istanbul is a kind of a late thing. I had already visited each of them, and on this account the Sultan received me. This is a custom among them. Whoever fails in observing it suffers the imputation of a breach of politeness. I had formerly heard of a city of Bulgar, right, Bulgaria. Hence, I had conceived a desire to see it, to observe it, whether what I had been related of it as to the extremity of the shortness of the nights and again of its days in the opposite season of the year were true or not. So he's talking about going far north. Okay, so just in terms of like the history of fiqh, the issue of praying in extreme north and fasting extreme north, who were the first people to deal with it? The Shafi'is and the Hanafis, because of their connection to those areas. So they're being connected to Bulgaria and to Russia, right? So it's not a new thing, right? And in fact, the Hanafis quote the Shafis on it because the Shafis are the first to really talk about it in depth. How do you pray in a place where the day, for example, is extremely long or extremely short, or more importantly, the prayer time doesn't even come in, right? The sun does not go far enough. I mean, obviously in the North Pole, the sun is not going to set for 3 months. And it's not going to rise for 3 months. So how do you pray? That discussion is there, because people, but way before our author are already talking about it. There was, however, between that place and the site and the camp of the Sultan a distance of 10 days. I requested the Sultan therefore, that he would appoint some who would bring me thither to that place and back, which he granted. When thereafter I was saying the prayer of sunset in that place, which happened in the month of Ramadan, I hastened. Nevertheless, the time for evening prayer came on, which went hastily through. I then said. I then said that of midnight as well as the term al-witr. So his translation is a bit funny here. What he's trying to say is he's praying witr, right? He prayed tahajjud and he prayed witr, but was taken by the dawn. In the same manner, also is the day shortened in this place in the opposite season. I remained there 3 days and then returned to the king. So basically he's saying he went to this area and it's crazy, right? Like in Scotland right now, my mum's in Scotland and my brother's in Scotland. It's like, the evening is like 4 hours, right? Or less than that, 3 hours, right? And you go further up, the sun doesn't set. Maghrib doesn't end, right? Because Maghrib the sun has to go about like 15 degrees below the horizon. It doesn't go that far. So beyond 15 degrees, it doesn't go that far. It goes only 14. So the red of the sky never disappears. So basically, Maghrib joins to Fajr. There's no observable Isha time, right? This is what he's talking about. In Bulgar, I was told the land of darkness, certainly had a great desire to go to it from this place. So interestingly, there's this book which is called the Rihla ibn Battuta, right? The Journeys of Ibn Battuta. There's another book called the Rihlat ibn Fadlan. Rihla ibn Fadlan. Ibn Fadlan is a good, 400 years before this. And it's a shorter thing. He doesn't travel so much, but he also goes to these areas, right? In Rihla ibn Fadlan. Ibn Fadlan is very important because it's the first documentation of the Vikings, of at least what we think is the Vikings. So in Rihla ibn Fadlan, he talks about going to somewhere, I think near Poland, something like that, and meeting the Vikings and talking about their habits and what they did, etc. It's very disturbing, very disgusting. But anyway, so it's a very interesting historical point for that. And they actually made a film based on Ibn Fadlan. They had Antonio what's called Banderas as the Arab. He was Ibn Fadlan, and they kind of changed it a lot, right? It's called, I can't remember what it was called. Um, I don't know, the land of something. I don't know what it was. They kind of changed the story a lot, but anyway, and they have him praying in a funny way. And it's kind of funny, but so they did a whole thing on this called Rihlat Ibn Fadlan. So we have to understand again, like, why is it the Muslims are traveling around? And why would the Muslims be some of the first people to describe the Vikings? Because what is happening in Europe at the time, Europe is in the Dark Ages, right? Europe is dead. Muslims are not dead. They are financially, politically very capable, culturally very capable, and they have like, yeah, we're interested in the world. Let's go look at stuff, you know? Just like, for example, today, if you look over the last like 300 years, plants and animals are always going to be described by Europeans because European in the last 500 years, strong situation. People are curious. Let's go and talk about botany. Let's go to China and describe the plants of China, right? So that's the situation. So you'll be in a country and like the animals of your country are all described by people in Europe. Okay, why? Same thing at this time. The Muslims are describing the sky. The Muslims are observing science. The Muslims are looking at things. The Muslims are traveling. They have this luxury of, we're not just surviving. We also have the ability to be curious and discuss the world and look at the world and document the world, etc. Okay. The distance, however, was out of 40 days. I was diverted, therefore, from undertaking, both on account of its great danger and the little good to be derived from it. I was told that there was no traveling thither except by little sledges, which are drawn by large dogs. And during the whole of the winter, the journey, the roads are covered with ice, upon which neither the feet of man nor the hooves of a beast can take any hold. These dogs, however, have nails by which they claws, right? By which their feet take firm hold on the ice. No one enters these paths except powerful merchants, each of whom has perhaps 100 of such sledges as these, which they load with provisions, drinks, and wood. For there we have neither trees, stones, nor houses. The guide in this land is the dog, who has gone on the journey several times, the price of which will amount to 1,000 dinars, right? So if you think about 20 dinars, right, is about $5,000, right? So we're talking about what, $250,000? Is that right? That's 5,000 times 50, right? It's 250, right? So yeah, $250,000, $250,000 dog, right? The sledge is harnessed to his neck. With him, 3 other dogs are joined, but of which he is the leader. The others then follow him with the sled, and when he stops, they stop. The master never strikes or reprimands this dog. When he proceeds to a meal, the dogs are fed first. For if it were not done, they would have become enraged and perhaps run away and leave their master to perish. When the travelers have completed their 40 days or stages through this desert, they arrive at the land of darkness. Each man, leaving what he has brought with him, goes back to his appointed station. On the morrow they return to look for their goods and find instead of them sable, ermine, and the fur of Sinjab. Sinjab is, what's it called? Squirrel. So they find all these things. Basically, the natives are exchanging with them, right? If then the merchant likes what he finds, he takes it away. If not, he leaves it, and more is added to it. On some occasions, however, these people will take back their own goods and leave those of the merchants. In this way is their buying and selling carry on. That's how they buy and sell. There's actually no human interaction. No one being seen during the transaction. Okay, shall I stop here? And then he returns to the Sultan of the 28th of Ramadan. There we go. And he is into Astrakhan. Where is Astrakhan? City in Russia. Let's have a look. Where on earth is this? Is the largest city of Astrakhan Oblast in southern Russia. Okay. Just gonna look on the map here. Google map.
Southern Russia.
Southern Russia. Astrakhan. Oh, I see. We're in the Caspian. Okay. Yeah. So this area as well is called like Bab al-Abwab. It's called the Gate of Gates. Right? So we're here. This is, yeah. So the Caspian Sea. So all this place is really important historically, right? So we're talking about like Turkmenistan. If you look at Turkmenistan on the map, right? There's a place called Mary. Can everybody see that on the map? If you're able to type it, put Mary, Mary. That was the biggest city on the face of the earth for approximately 100 years. So today Turkmenistan is like a non-place. So this place is all really important. If you see to the north, what's it called? Northeast, you get to Turkmenabat, and then you get to Bukhara. Say, oh, Bukhara, right? You go to and then there's Nisapur to its southeast, Nisapur. That's where Al-Hakim's from. That's where Imam Muslim is from, right? You go down, and you're going to get Herat. So this whole area, right? This is called Khorasan, right? The whole area is really important. So basically, so north of Khorasan, and you're going to go, and then you're going to get to the Caspian Sea, and then they're going basically to the north of the Caspian Sea. These are really important places, right? And obviously, when you have the Volga, the river, that is a natural pathway of traveling. So that's where the Vikings were coming down. The Vikings were coming down to there, and so it's like interesting when the way we see things, like yeah, like if you look at like where is it, Estonia, like Lithuania. Lithuania was really important in the past, like really important, like knights from Lithuania. Now it's like a non-place, right? We see things in the last like 200 years history is like a non-place, right? But these places are really important, right? There's mosques in Lithuania that are very old, right? Because again, all this area was Muslim. So basically, with the conversion of the Turkic people, right? And who are the original people of Russia? They are like, I mean, in the north, they obviously the people, from Lapland and stuff like that. But otherwise, to the south, these are Turkic people, and all these people eventually became Muslim. So the people now of Russia, the people who are in control in Russia, these are all actually Germanic people, right? Like, was it the Tsar of Russia, the Queen Victoria? Who else was it? Kaiser Wilhelm. These are all like cousins, right? They're all Germanic people. So the Russians are not. They're not the populace of Russia are not Russians. Russians. These are expansion of Germanic people, right? Racially, at least, right? Yes, they're Slavic in terms of their language, but they're essentially Germanic people, right? And so but the Slavs, these are now into Eastern Europe. So the whole of Russia, these were different people. And if you go to southern, these are all, Turkic people who eventually, with the exception, for example, of Mongolia, like they all became Muslim. So that's why it's like some of the earliest Orientalists and people looking at Islam and researching Islam, they're all Russians because they're interacting with Islam the most, right? Khair, inshallah. Okay, khair, inshallah. So we'll stop here. So please, for next week, read ahead. Confusions, novel points, things you found interesting, right? Please get the book. Things you find strange, things you find interesting, disturbing, right? Share, inshallah, and we'll discuss, inshallah. Okay. جزاكم خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك